Hello everyone, welcome back once again to the Creative Bee channel. Thank you for being here. If you are viewing my channel for the first time and find my content useful and helpful, please hit on the red button down below to subscribe and be part of this amazing family. And also turn on your notification so that you'll be the first to be notified whenever I upload a new video. So today's tutorial is going to be the making of a mermaid skirt cut together with a tail. You can also use this method for a mermaid dress. If this is what you like to learn, please stick on till the video is finished so that you get more understanding of what I'm teaching. So without wasting much of your time, let's get started. So this method is going to be the cutting of the mermaid skirt together with a tail. So I have a mermaid skirt tutorial on my channel which I use the slash and spread method, and it's also like this same cut together with tail. So if you want to know more about how to cut a mermaid skirt using the slash and spread method, please, I'll be leaving the link of that video down so that you can watch after watching this. But this one is going to be mainly on cut together with a tail. So let's get started. So I'm using this beautiful lace fabric. It's a two lace, a net lace, very beautiful fabric. So to sew this mermaid skirt, we'll be needing these measurements. You'll be needing your waist circumference, your hip circumference, your waist to hip length, your waist to nail line, and then your waist to the full length of the skirt. So I'm using 38 inches for the waist, and you are going to be dividing 38 inches by 4. And your hip divided by 4, and the hip I'm using is 43 inches. I'll divide it by 4, and then the full length is 43 inches. So guys, as you can see, I have folded my fabric in half, and I use my hip measurement, which is the largest part of my body, and divided it by 4. So my hip is 43 inches divided by 4 is 10.75. So 10.75, I added 8 inches to form the mermaid skirt and 2 inches for the allowance. So in all, I got 21 inches. 10.75 for my hip, and then 2 inches for the allowance, and then 8 inches to form the mermaid skirt. For the 8 inches, you can choose to use 6 inches, 7, 10. It depends on how full you want your mermaid to be. So I've drawn a line here which serves as my starting line. This is the base. I will be marking the vertical measurement. So if you want to add a band to your skirt, you minus the height of the band. But in this case, this mermaid skirt, I'm going to join it to a dress. So from the waist to the hip is 8 inches plus half inch for the joining allowance, so 8.5. So I mark 8.5 inches here. I mark it here also 8.5 inches. I mark it all along so that I can get a straight line here. So from the waist to the hip is 8 inches plus half inch joining allowance, so it's 8.5. So I'm going to roll a line. So next, I measure from the waist to my knee is 19 inches plus half an inch for joining allowance. My waist to my knee is 22 inches, so I minus 3 inches. I minus 3 inches so that I can walk freely in the skirt. So I mark 19.5 inch here, and I'm going to mark it across and mark a straight line. Next, I put my tape on my waistline to measure the length, the full length of the skirt. And the full length I'm using is 43 inches plus 1.5 inch for sewing allowance. So it's 44.5. So I mark 44.5 across and roll a line. So this indicates the waistline, the WL, the hip line, the knee line, and then the hem line. So these are my lines: my waistline, my hip line, my knee line, and then the length of the skirt plus the hemming allowance. But my chalk is not visible enough, but I hope you are seeing the lines well. So next, I'll be imputing my horizontal measurements, and I'll be dividing my waist by 4. My waist is 38 inches divided by 4 is 9.5. 9.5 inches plus 1 inch for the dart intake. So it's 10.5. So I'm marking 10.5 here. And on the hip line, I'll be dividing my hip circumference by 4. My hip circumference is 43 inches divided by 4 is 10.75. So I'll mark 10.75 here. So the next thing is to add the seam allowance, 2 inches on the waist and on the hip. So I added 2 inches seam allowance, and then on the waist, and then 2 inches on the hip here. So the next thing to do is to impute the knee measurement, and to do that, whatever you have on the hip line together with the allowance, you minus 1.5 inch. So on the hip line here, I have 13 inches. So 13 inches minus 1.5 is 11.5. So I mark 11.5 inches here on the knee line. So this is the knee, 11.5 inches. So I'll be connecting from the waist to the hip and from the hip to the knee. And to do that, below the hip line, I'll come down by 2.5 inches to get a nice curve on the hip area. And I'll be using my curve ruler to connect from the waist to the hip, and then from the hip to the knee. I'll be turning my hip curve like so to get proper curve here for the hip line. So I'll connect it like so. So we finished with the upper side. Now on the hem line, if you can remember, I added 10 inches in all for the fullness of the mermaid shape. So from this knee line, I'll be using my straight ruler to connect from here all the way to the end. But if you don't want the down part of your mermaid skirt to be that full, you can increase it by adding 7 inches or 6 inches for the mermaid shape. I'm going to curve this. It's not supposed to be pointed, so I'll use my curve ruler, shape here a bit. So this is it. And I forgot to tell you guys, this is for the front piece of the mermaid skirt, and it's on fold. So now we'll be marking the dart. To do that, you need your nipple to nipple measurement, and my own is 8 inches divided by 2 is 4 inches. Half of your nipple measurement. So I mark 4 inches here, and then I always take 5 inches for the front dart and then 6 inches for the back dart. That's the length of the dart. And on the dart leg, I'll be marking ½ inch on each side. That's the 1 inch I added on the side here. And the dart length is 5 inches for the front. I'll be connecting it with my ruler. Hope you can see the dart clearly. So as you can see, our front mermaid skirt piece is ready. So I'll be cutting it out, and after cutting it, I'll use it to cut the back piece. So let me cut it out. So this is how the front piece look like. The shape came out very nice. So I'm going to use this to cut on the back piece. So guys, I folded the back in half and added 8 inches extra for the tail at the back. As you can see, I laid the front piece on the back piece and trim it on the side exactly, so that when sewing the side will be equal. And also I added 8 inches extra allowance below the hemline here for the tail at the back. You can add 10 inches or more inches, as much as you want your tail to be at the back. So on this side, on the center back, I added 8 inches extra allowance for the tail. And below, I also added 8 inches for the tail at the back. So the next thing to do now is to mark 1.5 inch for the zipper allowance at the back. So this is the center back and this is the center front. So I'm going to mark 1.5 inch for the zipper allowance. But when I get to the knee line, I'll reduce it to 1 inch instead of 1.5 inch. And from this knee line, from that 1 inch, I'll connect it straight to the hem line where the 8 inches ends. So before connecting the zip line, let me extend the knee line and then the hip line, so that what we are doing, you can see it properly. So I extended the knee line and the hip line. So now I'll be marking the zip line. So guys, this is the zip line. On this knee line here, on this point, I'll be connecting with a straight ruler from here all the way to meet the end of the 8 inches down, like this. Guys, I hope you can see the line. This is our back piece. Now our back piece is ready. Next is to create the tail for the mermaid skirt. So to do that, I'll be connecting with my curve ruler from this end, the side of the front one, the front and the back piece. On the side here, where the front end, I'm going to connect it with a curve like this, all the way to come and meet this end here. So guys, this is basically it. Our back piece is ready. And you make sure that when you are creating the tail down, the side of the back and the side of the front should be aligned. You see where the chalk started from, and this is it. This is our zipper line. So for the zip, you mark 9 inches. You can mark 8 inches, but I prefer 9 inches because I'm going to join this to a dress. So these are 9 inches for the zipper. So this is it, and I'm taking 6 inches for the dart at the back, and I'll be notching the hip line and the knee line. So when I'm joining the pieces, it will be easy for me. So guys, this is it. Our mermaid skirt cut together with tail is almost ready. So now I'm going to cut it out. So friends, this is our mermaid skirt, is ready, and because the fabric is transparent, I'm going to use this for the lining, but I'm not going to line the whole skirt. I'm going to cut the lining to end here. I'm going to end the lining on the knee line. I will cut from the waist to the knee line here. So I will do just that and show you guys. So I finished cutting the linings for the skirt, and I attach it on the skirt and pin it down to show you guys how it looks. So this is it. It's just a half lining, and I'm going to weave the edges and attach it to the main fabric. So this is the back part, this is the zipper line. Let me show you how it looks in the front. This is how it looks. So this is the front piece. I attach the front lining inside, and I will hold it with my machine, or from this end to this end. I will hold the darts, then I'll shape the sides. So in my next video, we will be doing all these things together. And this is the front part of the front side too. So this is the right side, and then this is the wrong side. So this is it. We have our front, and then we have our back. So guys, if you find this video useful, please don't forget to like, share, comment on my video, and also subscribe. Turn on your notification bell so to be notified whenever I upload a new video. So thank you for watching, and also don't forget, I'll be leaving the link for the mermaid skirt on my channel that I use slash and spread method to cut it. So you go and watch that one too. Thank you for watching. See you in my next video. Don't miss out on my next video, please. Ciao, bye.